Welcome to Drop the Clutch podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Drop the Clutch. This is season 2, episode 7. It's just me and Frankie again this week. No guest. So, hi Frankie, how you doing?
Hello. I'm good. We have meetings to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Both past and upcoming.
So, what should we start with?
Well, we haven't spoken about Prague yet, have we?
No, we did a preview in the last episode.
Yeah, so we can discuss Prague now.
Yes.
Let's get one thing out of the way here. Track covers saved the meeting.
Yeah.
There's no denying that. I know that track covers, I think, are to an extent controversial because normally if you put track covers on a track, it degrades the track. It can cause the track to sweat. The track usually breaks up faster than it otherwise would. But the alternative is that meeting would not have gone ahead. It probably wouldn't have gone ahead on Sunday either because there was more rain forecast.
It was wet in Prague, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Promoters must have been kicking themselves for picking that week because apparently it was sunny the next week.
Oh no.
But as usual with Prague, the meeting it takes time to develop the track anyway. I think it was less the gate and go yawn fest that the Marquetta normally is. Once the track developed, you sort of passed like E8. There was actually racing on it.
Yeah.
True. Martin Vashalik, 1 point short of a 21 of a 7 ride maximum, which I think says a lot about his mindset. He rides Prague. It's often described as his home track in the Grand Prix series. Is technically true. He's not Czech, he's Slovakian, but there's no Slovak Grand Prix. I want there to be one at some point, but there isn't.
We want a lot of things, but we don't get them.
Like a Grand Prix outside of pissing Europe. But anyway.
Yeah, that. Anyway. Yeah.
I want one in Argentina at some point, but the logistics of getting riders and machines down to South America is prohibitive.
Yeah, that's the main reason for not having another outside of Europe, though, isn't it? It's the logistics.
Well, that's the thing. When they had Melbourne for 3 years, they're supposed to go back in 2018, and they just up and cancelled it, even though it usually had a fairly decent turnout at the Etihad.
Again, I'm assuming it's either down to logistics or just being asked. Who knows?
Yeah, but since then, the closest we've had to a Grand Prix outside of Europe is Togliatti. So
yeah, we won't mention that because obvious political things.
Oh right, I thought you were going to say about the quality of the meeting, but okay.
No. Well, everybody goes straight to the politics, so we'll draw a line under that now, shall we?
But yeah, Prague Grand Prix there's nothing to really write home about. Lindgren showed what he can do after a few poorer Grand Prix by his standards. Kubera showed strong. I think he would definitely mix it up this year, perhaps more than I thought he would have done at the start of the season.
Yeah. Finding some groove.
Yeah. And Smarzlik's starting to assert his dominance at the top of the table now that Doyle has withdrawn. I think I think the only rider who has a squeaking chance of challenging him at the moment is between Jack Holder and Frederick Lindgren, and I don't think either of them are up to Smarzlik's caliber if he performs like he did at Prague. I think he's been below par from what we'd expect of him going in the start of this season, but I think he's picking it up again now. And I don't think it's cost him as much as it might have cost another rider in another series years gone by.
True. Which is annoying, really.
Yeah. Other talking points. Ty Wuffenden. What's going on there?
Who knows?
I've made the point before about him potentially not recovering properly from his injuries, about still in a way being injured, or maybe maybe having a different mindset psychologically because he's got a family to look after now. Potentially that he's not as hard a rider than riders like Smarslik or Lindgren, Doyle or Vasilik are. But 1 point from 5 rides is appalling by his standard. And I think he would be the first to admit that as well.
Yeah.
And it's entrenching in my mind what I said at the start of the season. He needs a year out of the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Quite simply, he can't go on like this.
No. Just because it can mess with your head as well.
Well, more than that.
Mm.
The big thing that Woofenden has going in favour of him for getting a pick is that he's a popular rider.
Yeah.
His name recognition in the UK in particular is unparalleled among modern speedway riders.
Yeah, that is true.
So that's always a strong argument for keeping him in the Grand Prix. But you've got the counter argument, which is often used against Polish Australian riders, is that there are already 2 others who are at the moment on much greater form.
Yeah, true. It'd be nice to see another American rider in, maybe.
The only rider I can think of there is Luke Becker. It's too early. I think, to be honest, he's only just a heat leader in the UK at the moment.
True.
He can mix it up on the world stage. But I think it's a little bit too soon for him. But yeah, we could talk highlights like Robert Lambert again, another semi-final, but just couldn't convert it to a final.
Same old.
Yeah, he got a warning in the semi-final for moving at the start. It's clear that his nerves get the better of him when he's in a high stakes race like that.
Well, yeah, you can see it on the heart rate thing on the start line.
Yeah.
And that shows a bit like where the rider's mind's at. That's a big thing. Because when your mind's racing, it feels like your heart's racing.
Yeah. I have no doubt that if he didn't crack under pressure in the semi-final, in the final, he would have won a Grand Prix by now.
Yeah, I could see that.
But a 3rd place in a semi-final will give him either a 9 or 10 point return on the night, which isn't bad for him by any stretch.
Is he still 3rd in the standings?
Who, Lambert?
Yeah.
No,
he wasn't.
He was never 3rd in the standings. Was he ever 3rd in the standings?
Yeah.
Shit, which one do I want? Oh, he is 3rd in the standings.
I was right. I knew I wasn't fucking imagining things.
I think, to be honest, that's a representation of how open this season has been so far.
Yeah.
Because you're looking down at it, he's got 3 12-point results and a 16-point result.
Exactly. And he got a point in the sprint.
Oh yeah, I'm paying attention to that. He's 1 point down from Jack Alder in 2nd. Like I said, that's more of a representation of how open this season has been. A rider like Lindgren in 7th place right now.
And he's generally been consistent as well. 12, 16, 12, 12, As much as he's missing out on the final, he's still consistently making semi-finals.
Yeah, and that seems to be benefiting him this year more so than it otherwise would. Like you think, like last year, there would any 2 of 3 riders were always in a semi-final, I think.
Yeah.
Or in a final. This year's much more open. There are more riders that have made a semi-final just looking down the list than previous seasons, especially in the Smarslik era, if we dare to call it that.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Should we talk about the British final now?
We can do. British final is always an interesting meeting. We always call it the one meeting that basically anyone on the night can win.
So Dan Bewley won his third on trot.
Aye.
First rider to do it since Ty Woffington in 2015, 13 to 15. So that's quite impressive.
Yeah.
Tom Brennan top scored throughout the main meeting, only dropping 2 points on the death gate, gate 1. I wouldn't. That's the thing that's annoying me. Bewley picked that gate in the final and then somehow made it work. It had done nothing all night, and then he somehow made it work in the final.
Well, that's the drama of finals. I think like Mickelson at Lancashire, naff all from gate 3, and then he goes and wins it.
Yeah.
So, that's the nature of the track, and to an extent as well, particularly with gate 1, it's less. There's less about how the gate performs versus how other riders respond to you when you get out of the gate. Like if you come out about level with the rider on gate 2 going into the first turn, but the rider on gate 2 clamps you on the line, or at least attempts to, that's going to slow your race down.
Yeah, true.
Even if they're not technically in front, it's going to slow you down a bit.
Yeah.
Which is why there can be a preference for gate 2 over gate 1, even if gate 1 is performing slightly better, because it gives you that advantage.
Yeah.
Although that being said, I don't recall Bewley winning out of the gate anyway, so it's a moot point.
True.
I think Woofenden in that semi-final is the hardest. It's the hardest I've seen Woofenden ride in years. We're just talking about him performing in the Grand Prix. I think that if he could ride like that in the Grand Prix, he'd be a lot higher ranked now than he is.
Yeah, that's the thing. So why can't he do that in the Grand Prix? He's doing really well here, but he can't do it in the Grand Prix, and I'd love to know why. And it might cost him getting in the squad for the Sun.
It won't cost him a place in the in the squad, but it might cost him a place in the team.
That's what you know what I meant.
Yeah. The thing is, right, is that it's a different class of rider. It's less of an issue in the British final because you've got Lambert and Bewley alongside him, but the rest of the field are slightly below. It's certainly a tier below them. But in the leagues, especially, Lambert doesn't ride in the UK. Bewley does, but Lambert doesn't. It's a different class of rider, and Woofenden is a step above them. But he's in sort of purgatory where he's above riders in the British League, but below those in the Grand Prix. But he nearly took out 2 riders in the semi-final, which is why I say that's the hardest I've ever seen him ride.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean when I say that he doesn't ride as hard as other riders. If he rode like that in the Grand Prix, he'd probably be in a better position right now. I'm not saying he'd be in the top 6. His machines don't have the speed for that either, but he'd probably have more points.
True.
I'll leave that as an exercise to the listener, whether you agree or not. But
yeah, let us know. Send us a message or something. Let us know. See what you think.
Answers on a postcard.
Robert Lambert missed out on the semi.
That was a big shock. That was a big shock. It was convenient for me because of my prediction that only 2 of the 3 would make it to the final, but it was a big shock. I had it down that it would have been, if I remember correctly, I said I preferred Bewley and Lambert in the final over Bewley and Woofenden, simply because I was seeing how Woofenden was performing in the Grand Prix and individual meetings, and it wasn't there.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest surprise is, as always, Chris Harris. He never gives up, and a track like Manchester suits him to the ground. If you put through a few ruts on it, then that's a Chris Harris track.
Yeah.
A part of me, to be honest, just wanted him to win it just for the sheer shithousery of him being a wild card at Cardiff. But
see, look, I'm going to get poo-pooed for this, but I didn't want that.
No,
he's had his time.
Oh, he's had his time, but you know, it's not like you say he couldn't deserve it under the
no. I get it.
Strategy.
I'm a hockey fan outside of Speedway. I'm all for the shithousery, but you know, he's sort of past his time.
Oh, he absolutely is. He absolutely is. But could you imagine him going up against Smarslick?
True. That would
on a track that would absolutely suit him to the ground, particularly if it cuts up.
Yeah.
Like, it's not big, it's not fast, but it can get rough.
Cardiff the last 2 years.
To be fair, last year was better than the year before.
True, but still. I did get my prediction about third and the wild card right.
What, like Brennan?
Yes.
You did? I don't know if I made a prediction for the wild card. I can't remember now.
Well, to be honest, I was just sort of assuming that one of the GP3 would win it. So,
I mean, you that much right as well.
Mm.
I was less sure because, like I've said, this is the kind of meeting that anyone can really win it on the night. You know, I don't think anyone really that in 2016 anyone tipped Danny King to win it over Craig Cook.
It's because it was wet.
Yeah, I think most everyone had Craig Cook down as favourite to win that meeting.
It's because it was wet.
Yeah.
And that was a wet meeting. It was worse than last year. How that meeting happened, I'll never know.
They push a track to the limit.
But
other than that, you know, younger riders showed. Steve Worrell showed what he can do, which makes a change.
He clearly didn't have labyrinthitis. He must have just had an ear infection.
Probably.
You don't get over labyrinthitis that fast. You don't get over it in 4 days.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, an ear infection can affect your balance as well. So, over that, he was just taking a bit of a punt on it. So,
Anders Rowe got 7, and Jordan Jenkins got 5 points.
To be honest, Anders Rowe impressed me. Like I know he's kind of flown under the radar, but he's actually a good rider. But I don't think I quite realised how good of a rider he can be.
Yeah.
You know, I seem to remember him. I think it was like rising star for Ipswich 2 or 3 years ago, but never showed because he was riding in Poland the whole time.
I remember that.
Yeah, but he seems actually be a fairly decent quality rider. He's probably one of the more up and coming British stars that we might have in future.
It's good because we need a few of them.
Yeah.
Jordan Jenkins being on the pace in Heat 14, the GP riders, was nice to see.
Yeah. Heat 14 was it was a heat.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was he was never left behind by them.
No. That was good. I did joke to say he'd go out and pull the biggest shock of the meeting and win the race, but part of me was hoping it might happen, but it didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, there's nothing really to write home about.
No.
I feel like there's the incident in Heat 4, but that's there's nothing really there. It's not the first time Charles Wright has been thrown out of a British final heat either. So,
what, when it got awarded after was it 2 laps?
No, it was 3 laps.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, either that or
I've slept since then. So
either that or the start marshal cocked up because he had the last lap flag in his hand when the red lights came on.
I think he was about to wave it for last lap. I think it was the second one.
I mean, I've
slept since. So
I could look back, but I'm not doing that now.
Basically, we'll get back to you about that on the next episode, whether we think it was or not. Then I just got the.
I mean, there's always an open question as to whether heats should be awarded or not, but
True. Is there more Frankie's controversy time coming?
Not really. Awarding a heat is. I think that 3 laps is too early. As in, like, awarding it, being able to award it after the end of the second lap, I think is too early. And I think the referee should be mindful that A, they don't have to award it, and B, if there is racing going on, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't. Awarding a heat is not something I generally have an issue with.
Fair enough.
I don't like referees though. See a rider go down on like turn 1 of lap 2 and wait for the riders to start the 3rd lap before stopping the race. That's just dangerous.
Yeah. It's also annoying on the riders' part, because if they're able to get up and clear the track and won't, that's annoying. It's like they know they're going to get kicked out, so they might as well just stop the race and waste everybody else's time.
Well, sometimes it's strategic. It's trying to get a rerun, isn't it? We see it often enough. But that's its own topic.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, that's all I can really say about British Final. It's just, it was what it was. It was a decent meeting. I think they should bring back the qualifying stages for it though. Like, I don't like this whole seeding riders through based on their they're based on their Premiership average. I'm not a fan of it, to be honest.
It's dates though, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
but
typical UK weather.
Well, they could resolve that by getting rid of a few competitions that the league probably doesn't need, like the BSN series, for instance, the championship.
Yeah. And bringing back ones that people enjoyed going to, i.e. the pairs.
Yeah, but just make it a one-off meeting at a neutral venue, like.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with the pairs. I don't know why they had to get rid of it.
I think it's because they tried to make it like a 6-7 round event or something. They couldn't fit it in the schedule, so it's just like, bin it off rather than
one off last year.
But weren't they forced by that though? But they tried to make it a 3 round event last year.
Yeah.
There you go. Championship pairs though, they would never get rid of because it's part of the whole weekend of Cardiff.
True.
That's why it's moved to Oxford this year, over where it used to be Somerset.
It moved to Oxford when Oxford reopened.
Yeah, because Somerset closed. But the idea is that people commuting out to the British Final can go down, hop down to Oxford, watch the pairs, and then head across onto the A40 and then down onto the M4 or something like that, and go across to British Grand Prix on the Saturday. That's how it is. That's how it's always been, really.
But Somerset was easier than Oxford to get to Cardiff from.
Yeah, but that's closed now. So the next best option really is Oxford.
True.
I think if Swindon was still open, there's half a chance they probably still they would host it there, but it's not.
No. Grand Prix at the weekend. And then
we've got the under 21. Yeah, we've got the under 21s followed by the seniors. Right, so we've got SGP2 and now SGP this weekend, starting with SGP2. Leon Flint is the only British rider in.
Yay!
Which, to be fair to him, right, the qualifying rules for SGP2 they are penal. The way the qualifying stages worked. It's to be expected of FIM though, because it's consistent with like the GP Challenge, for instance. But 20 heats, top 4 go through. Like, you finish last in one heat, you fall, have a retirement, go through the tapes. Your meeting's basically over. But
makes it interesting, though.
It does. That's the formula they've gone through. They've gone for.
Just makes it annoying for the riders.
Oh yeah, definitely. We have expected names, riders like Kasper Henriksen, Victor Przemski, or Francis Gusts, Bartos Bambor's new, but Philippe Hellstrom Bangs. Some of the
still under 21.
Pardon?
It was like 6. I forget he's still under 21. He was like 16 when he rode for Sweden in the sun at Manchester last time. I forget he's still under 21.
Nearly put himself in the fence more than a few times.
That move against Magic Janoski, though. Oh, oh. Fucking hell. Oh.
Yeah, but riders like Matthias Czerniak out now. They're over 21. So we will get a new under 21 world champion this year.
Leon Flint.
No,
you don't know that. To go and absolutely ride a blinder of 3 meetings and win the whole thing and piss everybody off.
I am poo-pooing a little bit here. That's the results. I don't want that. I am poo-pooing a little bit here, to be fair, but
you're boring. But yeah, that's my prediction.
Yeah, it's based on absolutely naff all.
It's based on the fact that I like Leon Flint and he's a Birmingham rider and
Fair enough. Right, I am now checking something here because the name has piqued my interest. Jesper Knudsen. Is it any relation to Tommy Knudsen?
I don't know, but it's Jonas Knudsen's younger brother.
Yeah, which tells me nothing. It doesn't look it. So it may just be the same. I think Knudsen, to be fair, is a fairly common name in Denmark anyway.
I'd assume so. I wouldn't know. I've never been to Denmark. I want to go, but I've never been. So
yeah. But either way, I'm not sure really who to rank. My mind goes to either. My mind is matching to Francis Gusts.
As you do.
Well, the thing, there's a lot of new riders in the in SON in the under 21 GP this year, and I don't really know how many of them ride. Like things like riders like Nazar Parnitsky, Bastian Pedersen, William Dreja. I've seen like a bit of what they can do, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Vilad Narjo, Bartos Bambor, Sebastian Stozak. I'm not familiar with them at all. Right.
I mean, if Bastian Pedersen rides anything like his uncle Mickey, then we might be in for an interesting time.
Sure, I'd love it if he did, because I actually had nothing. I had no problem with the way Nicky Pedersen rode.
I didn't. I liked it.
Yeah.
Everybody hated him for some weird reason. All right, calm down.
However, if he is anything like Nicky Pedersen, they need to put the phone box back in the pits. Whatever happens to that? Go into the phone. I mean, that's a weird one that seems to have fallen out of fashion the last few years.
Yeah.
But yeah, Molilla will be. It'd be an interesting track. It'd be interesting to see how it rides for them. I'm not too sure if it's okay. So it's Tucana's home track. So some riders will have like a home track advantage or whatever, depending on how it's prepared.
There's a few riders I could name that have ridden there in recent seasons.
Yeah,
Lambert, Bewley.
I was also talking about SGP2 but
yeah, but apologies. But yeah, fair for you.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, so the thing about Molilla is it's so hard to understand how the track itself rides, because a lot of the meetings over seasons are rain affected. which of course means they put track covers on it. They use track covers a lot sooner than a lot of other Grand Prix circuits, which means that, like I said before, the track cuts up a lot quicker than it would be. Sometimes it doesn't perform as well, doesn't bind as well. So you can't really get a full picture for how the track would perform under ideal conditions. And I just checked the forecast. There's no rain for Molilla this weekend, as far as it can see.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah, so they won't need track covers. So
like that.
Just be a fit track. I think there is a trifle of banking on it, maybe like 3% or something like that. Like maybe 3 or 4% on turns, which will be interesting to see how the youngsters attack that, because I'm not sure how familiar some of them are with a lot of banking. I was going to be like when the seniors turned up at Glasgow and thought, how the fuck do I ride this?
You go up it and then back down it like a daredevil.
The seniors, it's a bit more predictable because obviously they'll be more familiar with the circuit. Generally, Morlilla has been a mainstay of the Grand Prix calendar for decades, or for a decade at least.
Yeah, there's also a few riders in the lineup that have ridden for said team before, so they'll have home track advantage.
Yeah, at least to the extent that it's prepared the same as it would be for a Grand Prix, for a league meeting. Sorry, it's always a question mark. I find, when you go to a track like Morlilla, Gorzov, Wrocław, Torun, where there is like a home team there, how much of a home track advantage really exists for riders who ride there day in, day out, because it's a different team that prepares the track.
True.
Well, looking at this lineup, I think my mind latches to Francis Gust's as favourite for under 21, but I think it's yeah, and like I say, I think I'm only saying that because he's the only rider I'm actually familiar with in this lineup, really.
Yeah.
Like, I know what Brzezinski can do. I know what Casper Henriks and Philippe Elstrong-Bangs can do. But I'd say
I know what Leon Flint's capable of.
Yeah, but not necessarily against this lineup.
You don't know that. He's ridden against riders like this before.
This is the thing, because this entire lineup is an unknown to me. So even though I know what Leon Flint can do in a league meeting, I'm not prepared to translate that out to SGP2. True. Because I've got nothing to relate to. So I think that there could be some interesting spoilers here. It'll be one worth watching.
Well, if you've got Discovery Plus, that is.
Yeah, we've had this argument before. We probably dedicate a whole episode to Discovery Plus at the end of the season.
Do I need to get the rant book out? Do I just need to write everything down? Get a notebook dedicated to rants.
I just need a key on my keyboard that pops up big word satire whenever I'm making a joke. Apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, SGP2 qualifying practice introduced as well for this for the under 21s this year, which I think is a little bit pointless. The big thing about qualifying practice really is less about the lap time you create. It's more about having the ability to pick your draw for the main meeting. Obviously, these riders will be getting like experience talk pushed down from more senior riders, and their pit crew or whatever would have seen the Grand Prix and know roughly which gates to go for. But I think for other riders, there could be some element of guesswork involved.
True. Which is why I'm hoping some of the GP riders are there with Leon on Friday. Is it Friday? It is Friday, the SGP,
yeah, it is.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's about it. I think it like I said, if I'm going to name a winner, it probably would be Smarslik, but like anyone can really win it. You could tip Frederick Lindgren for a home win.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
Yeah, but he's been underperforming this year badly.
Yeah, but it's his home GP, in it, so.
Yeah, but that could work both for and against him.
True.
It could, the pressure could badly affect him, considering he's on a poor run of form. Okay, he recovered some form in Prague, but not an awful lot.
True.
How do we know that's not just like a blip, a one-off, and it could go back to normal. But then again, you could say the same about Smarslik.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's been subpar this season by his own standards.
Can we talk about anything else?
Oh, you said the Grand Prix.
No, I meant about the Smarslik. Oh, I'm going to get hate from the Smarslik lovers again. Then again, when do I not? So,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, forgot to mention British Under-21 final, Sam Hagan won.
Oh, yes.
2 Birmingham riders in the space of a week, top scoring in a meeting and then beaten in a final. Rude. But I'll leave that there.
That's the nature of finals.
It's dumb. Under the old format, we would have 2 British champions, but whatever.
Old format is going back away. I think Morlilla, going back to Morlilla for a second, this is a big meeting for Woofenden.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to perform well now.
Make or break, innit?
Yeah, big time. He is 14th in the standings, 15th, I think.
Yeah.
He's 14th. He is badly sunk at the moment.
Yeah.
He needs a good performance, at least a semi-final result here.
Yeah. That would be ideal for him.
I mean, to be honest, just to keep his hopes of staying in the Grand Prix alive at this stage, like what I was saying earlier about, you've got two other British riders in the Grand Prix. You don't need a third. And on form, it has to be Woofenden who goes.
Yeah.
Which, like I say, it could do him good. But, I don't think he would want that, to be honest. I always remember interviews he did when he was first introduced to the Grand Prix back in 2013. He said he didn't want to be the kind of rider who just gets in on a pick every year.
Yeah. But he's sort of doing what Magic Inoski did, and that's painful to watch.
Yeah, I think the big difference is that with Janowski, you can't really explain it.
No.
Like with Woofenden, you can say like, well, he's had injuries this year, and this year. He's not really recovered from them. They're all fairly major injuries as well.
True.
You could put it to that. You could say that he's not riding as aggressively, and he isn't. He never was an aggressive rider. Because at his day in the Grand Prix in the 2010s, he didn't need to be, really. You just had to match Pedersen.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, as everyone gives Pedersen stick for being a hard rider, he really wasn't compared to now.
True.
So yeah, this one is serious make or break for Woofenden. But I would like to see Lambert get into a final.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it's his home track in Morlilla. I cannot remember off the top. No, it's not. It's Vastovic. Okay, he's moved since then.
It has been in the past.
Yeah, so he will at least have some familiarity with Morlilla.
Yeah.
I would like to see him get into a final. I think he absolutely can do it. It's just a case of him holding his nerve in the semi.
I'm pretty sure Dan Bewley still rides from Morlilla.
Yeah, he does.
I don't know if Robert Lambert's ever actually ridden for Morlilla. I know he's ridden for Legion. Sorry if I'm butchering these. I'm probably aware that I am. I know he's ridden for Smyrna, and now he's currently riding for Vastovic.
No, it was Ross Pagano he rode for. It wasn't Dakana.
Oh.
Getting my Swedish teams mixed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he'll still have some amount of knowledge of the track because he would have raced there.
He'll have ridden there as an away rider. Yeah.
Less so than a home rider like Bewley would have done. But as like I said, I want to see him get into a final, genuinely, because I know he can do it. I know he can do it. If he gets into a final, if he holds his nerve all the way through, he can win a Grand Prix.
Yeah. He just needs a Red Bull. He just needs some wings.
What you were saying about his heart rate earlier, he absolutely does not need a Red Bull.
Yeah, okay, maybe not. Calm down on the pre-meeting Red Bulls, Lambert. Then you might not be as jittery. But other than that,
yeah. That's about it. I'd like to see Wozniak do more. I know he can mix it up with these riders. He's just not. He's been outclassed by Kubera. For the two Polish riders introduced this season, he's being outclassed here.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him do more because he can do it. But that's the nature of Grand Prix Speedway.
Yeah.
That's about it, really. Like I said, if I make a prediction, I can't really look past Smarzlik with a straight face.
As you do.
I know it frustrates you to hear me say that, but like the only real rider I could think of as beating him, if they have a good night, is Lindgren, Vashlik, Lambert, Holder, and even Lambert and Holder are both a stretch, really. I know Holder's done it once before, but when you look down the order, Lindgren's not performed this season particularly well. Vashlik, he up and down. Jack Holder was poor in Prague, and Robert Lambert has been consistent in semi-finals.
See, look, now if he can be consistent in finals,
he'll
probably be second.
Yeah, but Smarzlik and this new point system doesn't make either of that easy.
Again, the point system is stupid. But again, that's another thing we won't get into, otherwise we'll be here all night. Yeah, that's pretty much.
If the podcast was around when they'd announced it, we absolutely would have done.
Yeah.
I had a lot.
More episode, anybody?
I had a lot to say about that point system when they announced it. I basically just looked at it and thought, "What the fuck is this bollocks?"
Yes, I vaguely remember the Discord. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Apart from League Speedway, all the leagues pretty much well underway now.
League Speedway is as it was, really, isn't it? Kings Lynn have been bollocked by the SCB.
Well, that's their own fault for cancelling a meeting when they could have run it, innit?
Yeah.
I got no sympathy. Birmingham were out of the knockout cup on a technicality because had they had Lindgren, they'd be in the final. But whatever.
What was it? What was the technicality?
Because Lindgren's visa.
Oh, right.
We'll wrap up there then. That was episode 7. It's been fun.
Yep.
Having a chat about everything that's been going on.
Yeah, I reckon we will have SON preview next up, won't we?
Yes, the next one. Either that or
because we should have. Yeah, because we should have the squads announced by then.
Yeah. True. But that was episode 7. We'll catch you all on the next one. See you later.
Goodbye. You have been listening to episode 7 of Drop the Clutch Season 2, presented by Ruth Hannah and Frankie Sparks, recorded on the 13th of June 2024 and edited by Frankie Sparks. This was a Drop the Clutch production.